Hey everybody, Gruhamed here with a Nameless Ghoul from Ghost. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time. I'd like to go into the concept of Ghost a little bit because I feel like a lot of people don't see past the masks and see past the get-up and really into how far the concept goes. Because I think you guys conceptually are absolutely fantastic with your approach, both physically and musically. So I want to go all the way back. When you guys first decided that this was going to become the path of your band, and you kind of conceived the outfits and the Satanic Church concept, was that a very, very impactful moment on you? Can you tell me what that moment was like when it clicked?
That I don't think it was an immediate click feeling because at the time when Ghost was conceived, or like the first grains of it, being a few songs or a song that turned into more songs, I'd say that because we never thought of it as something that would take on, like, let alone these proportions at all. We had, when we were talking in the idea world that we had it at that point, we thought of it as just a very eclectic side thing that we were going to do.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, we did have a lot of ambition as to how we were going to present ourselves. So what ended up happening almost immediately after we started sort of sketching up what do we see? Well, there should be a church, and it should be, the guys in the band should be monks, and should be a priest singing, or a pope maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a pope. Yeah. Maybe you should have a skull paint. You should look like that, the witch doctor in that James Bond movie, which names escape me right now.
I know the one.
Yeah, you know the one.
I don't
Live and Let
remember
Die.
the name. Oh, there we go.
And maybe a little bit like Temple of Doom.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was very, very inspired, very from a fan point of view, halfway cinematic more so than rock and roll. And the first thing that we said was basically, okay, then we can't really do this now. We have to do this later.
Okay. It took a bit of time to develop?
Exactly. So that click probably came at that point.
Okay.
Because we noticed how far behind we were in order to sort of realize the idea. And we've been sort of going for that ever since.
Yeah.
Taking a step further to the final idea every time. We're not even there now, but we're closing in, I guess.
Yeah, there's plenty more
We're
to
in
do,
the parameter.
I'm sure. Yeah. And I'm sure you're aware of sort of the American thing of the televangelists and the super churches and people in the audience convulsing, speaking in tongues. Like, I gotta know, in any of your shows, have you seen any sort of reaction like that?
Yeah, I think we see a lot of people, especially during the course of a whole tour. There's definitely a lot of emotion, amongst our fans.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority is doing the whole, yeah, all right. That's, I guess, the general.
Sure.
But there are always the people. Some people cry, and some people, I don't know, behave as you do when you sort of lose track of time and space.
Yeah.
But that's part of the joy, for us.
Yeah, it's absolutely a point of success, I think.
Yes.
And I think that Ghost is a really cool band because there are a lot of bands out there from the black metal world, death metal world, that do the Satan subject and are satanic or claim to be satanic. But I think that Ghost may be the only band that writes music for Satan rather than about Satan. Do you think that'd be a fair assessment?
And that depends completely on who you're asking, I think. I think one of the major differences between us and most I'm saying most black metal bands, like the traditional ones,
Yeah.
are that are bring a joyous moment.
Still to bring joy and be tongue in cheek and
Tongue in cheek or not, it's just the whole idea is for everybody to smile and be happy.
yes.
Whereas I'm not saying that every other black metal band is the exact opposite, but it definitely has that is not on the agenda. It's basically to sort of create this almost unpleasant atmosphere. As a fan, I love that too.
Yeah.
I like going to shows where, it feels like you're in an acid bath, basically. And it's fun, but it's somewhat one-dimensional. So
Yeah.
that was not what we wanted to create ourselves. We wanted it to be more like the scope of emotions was supposed to be like horror, humor,
Yeah.
and like I cannot really explain it in a better way, but when there's almost like a divine force that sort of gets that sort of it feels like you're being touched by a sphere that you cannot really define.
Yeah.
And to have a divine religious moment, but a joyous and a sort of a euphoric one rather than a guilty and condemning one.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I wanted to ask about, because for me personally, music, especially experiencing live music, is the closest to a deeply profound religious experience that I have experienced. So I can imagine with Ghost becoming so powerful and becoming so popular and beloved, and you guys are playing bigger and bigger shows, when you're on stage, I'm sure that feeling is immense. Is it easy to let your mind wander and wonder if there's some sort of divine presence involved or there with you, in whatever definition it may be to you personally?
I feel it every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, then I communicate with specifics.
It would be difficult to describe, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, it's hard to explain that here right now, but
Yeah.
I definitely, I'm not an atheist.
Okay.
Intellectually, obviously my intellect tells me one thing, but I want there to be something, so I choose not to completely follow my intellect when it comes to the idea of a bigger being or beings that I cannot explain, because we can't anyway, so it's like useless.
Sure.
That's the problem. Everybody wants to explain it, and if they have explanation about what's happening after you die, they're lying. That's the thing. They're lying to fuck you. That's exactly what they do. That's the whole, business model. But I'd like to think, and I hope that there is a bigger thing. And I think I tap into it. At least it feels like that, and that's the most important thing.